You know the debate. I mean, you've probably been asked, right? Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. It's like this instant culinary battleground. People have strong opinions, passionate love, sometimes outright repulsion.
Exactly. So today, we're taking a deep dive into that whole divide. Because it's more than just, simple taste preference.
Definitely. We're going to try and uncover some of the fascinating, maybe surprising reasons why this one topping causes such a stir. Think historical, scientific, even psychological angles.
We've gathered quite a stack of sources, haven't we? Everything from, like, foodie opinion pieces to actual scientific research on why we like what we like.
Yeah, the goal here is really to understand the layers. It's, okay, maybe a low-stakes conflict in the grand scheme of things, but it's endlessly entertaining and weirdly revealing.
Totally. Okay, so let's maybe start by sketching out the profiles, the different types of people in this pizza drama.
Good idea. Let's start with the pro-pineapple camp. We're calling them the culinary adventurers.
Huh, I like that. Adventurers. So who's the first type within that camp?
Well, first up, you've got the flavor architect. Now, for these people, pizza isn't some museum piece. It's a canvas, ready for innovation.
Right, they're open-minded, experimental.
Hmm.
They actually enjoy that balance. Pineapple brings the sweet and the salty cutting through the richness of the cheese and maybe ham.
Exactly. And they don't just stop there. Our sources show they often push it further, like combining pineapple with spicy stuff. Jalapenos, hot capicola.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. People swear by it. It just works. Or you see comments like, pineapple plus jalapeno is the best pizza hack possible.
And they care how it's done too. They might insist on fresh pineapple or grilled or chopped really fine so it doesn't get soggy. Some even go for like a BBQ sauce base.
Their whole attitude seems to be that, food evolves, personal taste wins over rigid rules.
Precisely. Then the second type of adventurer is the sensorial seeker.
Sensorial seeker.
Okay.
What drives them?
It's more about the overall sensory hit. They find pineapple can, and this is a quote, somehow remove the dry taste and make pizza fresh to eat.
Huh. Interesting take. So these are maybe the people who also love other kinds of sweet and savory combos.
You got it. Think salted caramel, bacon on pancakes, maybe even dipping fries in ice cream, that kind of vibe. They appreciate contrast.
And they're probably baffled by how angry some people get about it.
Totally bewildered. For them, it's just pizza, right? It's pretty low-stakes fun.
Okay, so that's the adventurers. Now, let's flip the coin. The anti-pineapple side, the culinary purists. Just as passionate, maybe even more so?
Oh, absolutely. And the first profile here is the traditionalist guardian.
Guardian. Sounds serious.
It is. For them, they see pizza as this age-old dish that has been perfected for centuries. And pineapple, it's not traditional, full stop.
I've heard people call it blasphemy,
Huh.
even a crime against pizza.
Yeah, the language gets pretty strong. Their argument often boils down to the only fruit that belongs on pizza is tomato because it's in the sauce.
So it's not just I don't like the taste, it's fundamentally wrong to them.
Exactly. Some sources mention Italian purists being genuinely repulsed by even the idea of a pizza with fruit. It's a violation of principle.
And they'll point to tradition, maybe chefs who agree with them, like Gordon Ramsay's famously against it.
Right. They'll mention famous chefs or note that authentic Italian places just don't offer it. For them, tradition needs to be respected. Deviating is seen as, well, kind of ignorant.
Okay, so that's the Guardian. Who's the other type of purist?
That would be the texture and taste aversionist. Now, for this group, it's purely about the senses. It's visceral.
Ah, okay, so what are their specific complaints?
It's often the juice. Pineapple is too juicy, they say. Makes the crust soggy and chewy.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem. And the pineapple itself when it's cooked.
Descriptions like rubbery, mushy, fibrous come up a lot. They also just really dislike the sweetness, find it jarring that it overpowers everything else. That combo of like tomato sauce and pineapple, some find it just vile.
And what about that thing people say about the enzymes? That it, like, dissolves your mouth.
Ah, yeah, that's a common one. But our sources are pretty clear. Cooking the pizza inactivates those enzymes. So raw pineapple has bromelain, which can cause that tingle.
But not on a cooked pizza.
Right. Any discomfort is probably just down to the acidity or maybe a personal sensitivity, not actual dissolving. But for these folks, the flavor itself is also a problem because it sort of permeates the whole slice. You can't just pick it off.
Okay, wow. So we've met the players, the architects and seekers, versus the guardians and aversionists. Their positions make a bit more sense now, framed like that.
Definitely. So should we dig into the core arguments themselves, why they say it works and why it definitely doesn't?
Yeah, let's do that. The pros first. Why does pineapple work according to his fans?
Well, the simplest reason is often just it tastes good. That unique sweet and salty thing, it cuts through the richness, like we said.
And it complements other toppings.
Yeah, particularly savory meats, ham, pepperoni, chicken, and it works especially well with spicy things, you know? The sweetness balances the heat. It's a known pairing principle.
Plus, it adds variety, right? A
Yeah.
different sensory experience.
Yeah.
Taps into that omnivore thing of wanting different tastes and textures.
Exactly. And despite the online noise, let's not forget Hawaiian pizza, pineapple, and ham was a huge commercial success. It's still a reasonably common topping worldwide.
Yeah.
In Australia, apparently, it's seen as a pretty safe standard choice.
And that earlier point, some people feel it actually freshens the pizza. It makes it less dry.
Yeah, that perception is definitely out there for some tasters.
Okay, now for the cons. The why it absolutely does not work arguments. What's top of the list?
Tradition, tradition, tradition. It's just not traditional. Pizza's been perfected for centuries, they argue, and this doesn't belong. Authentic places don't serve it. End of story for many.
Beyond tradition, what else?
Poor pairing or overpowering flavors. The sweetness can just dominate everything. The sauce, the cheese, other toppings. It makes the whole thing too sweet for many palates.
And the acidity thing.
Right, both pineapple and tomatoes are acidic. Some people find that combination just unpleasant, maybe even gives them a bit of indigestion. It's a clash.
Then the texture issues we mentioned. The sogginess potential.
Definitely. The juiciness leading to a soggy, chewy crust. And the cooked pineapple itself being rubbery or mushy, that's a big one.
Plus, apparently, it's bad as leftovers.
Yeah.
Gets weird when reheated.
Yeah, sources say it can dry out and get really fibrous.
Yeah.
And then there's the expert opinion angle. Lots of pro chefs reportedly agree it doesn't belong.
And the flavor contamination. If you don't like it, its juice ruins the whole pizza.
Exactly. And fundamentally, some people just don't like warm fruit. The taste, the texture, it's just not for them.
Okay, so we've got the battle lines drawn, the arguments laid out. But like you said, this deep dive goes, well, deeper. The why behind these strong feelings gets really interesting. History, science, psychology.
It really does. Let's start with the history, because it's not what most people think. Hawaiian pizza wasn't invented in Hawaii.
Wait, really? Where then?
Canada. Chatham, Ontario, back in 1962, by a guy named Sam Panopoulos. He was a Greek-Canadian restaurateur.
No way. A Greek-Canadian in Ontario. Why call it Hawaiian then?
Apparently, he was inspired by Chinese-American dishes that mix sweet and savory, and the name Hawaiian. It likely just came from the brand of canned pineapple he used.
That is amazing. A Greek-Canadian using canned pineapple inspired by Chinese food creates Hawaiian pizza. That completely messes with the tradition argument, doesn't it?
It certainly complicates it. Shows how food traditions can be pretty recent and quite mixed up.
Okay, so history is surprising. What about the science of taste? How does that play in?
Well, our sources remind us about the 5 basic tastes: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and that savory one, umami. Each has an evolutionary job, right? Sweetness signals carbs, energy. Bitterness warns about potential toxins.
And pineapple brings that sweetness, contrasting with the salty cheese and savory meat and the umami in the tomato sauce.
Exactly. It creates what's called flavor layering, and we tend to crave these complex combinations. It's linked to something called sensory-specific satiety.
Sensory-specific satiety, what's that?
It's basically why you can feel totally stuffed after a big savory meal, but suddenly find room for dessert. Your senses for savory are satisfied, but your senses for sweet are still eager for input. It drives our omnivorous need for variety.
Ah, okay. So our brains are kind of wired to seek out these contrasts, like sweet pineapple on salty pizza.
For many people, yes, it hits that evolutionary spot. But that brings us to the psychology. Why do we like or dislike things so strongly, especially food?
Right, because as humans, we're omnivores. We don't have a lot of built-in genetic programming telling us exactly what's safe to eat, unlike some animals.
Exactly. We have to learn what's good and, maybe more importantly, what's bad or dangerous. Our choices are shaped by, well, sensory stuff, does it taste good or bad? By anticipated consequences, is it good for me or harmful? And then by what are called ideational factors.
Ideational factors, meaning like our ideas about the food, its origin, what it represents.
Precisely. And this is where the emotion of disgust becomes really, really important.
Disgust. Okay, how does that fit with pineapple pizza?
Well, disgust isn't just finding something unpleasant. It's a really powerful often culturally learned emotional rejection. It's often linked to things, historically animal products that could carry disease. It's an offensive feeling.
And it can trigger strong reactions like nausea, even if you've never tasted the thing.
Exactly. It's about the idea of the thing being wrong or contaminating. And disgust has this key feature called the contamination property,
Meaning,
meaning even a tiny trace of something considered disgusting can ruin a food you otherwise like. Think about the law of contagion psychologists talk about: once in contact, always in contact.
wow, okay. So for someone who feels disgust towards pineapple on pizza, it's not just, I don't like the taste. It's like the pineapple itself contaminates the whole idea of pizza for them. It violates a mental category.
That seems to be a big part of it for the really strong reactions. It taps into that primitive, you are what you eat kind of thinking. The idea is offensive, so the food becomes offensive.
Okay, so disgust is powerful for creating dislikes. How do we learn to like things then? Especially things that might be initially challenging.
Liking is definitely more complicated. Just being exposed to something helps, familiarity
Hmm?
and feeling good after eating it, satiety. But social and cultural factors are huge. We learn what's considered good or prestigious or normal in our group.
And we can even learn to like things that are initially unpleasant, like chili peppers.
Right. Chili causes actual pain initially, but we can learn to enjoy it. Maybe it's a kind of benign masochism, like riding a roller coaster, it's safe, so the thrill is enjoyable. Or maybe it triggers endorphins in the brain. Liking is complex and learned.
But there's a bias, isn't there? Our sources mentioned a negative bias.
Yes, absolutely. Humans, like other animals, learn aversions things to avoid much faster and much more strongly than we learn preferences. The brain prioritizes avoiding potential harm.
And that mechanics analogy was brilliant.
Wasn't it? A teaspoon of sewage would spoil a barrel of wine, but a teaspoon of wine would do nothing at all for a barrel of sewage. It perfectly captures that power of negativity and contamination in our psychology.
So, even though we can learn strong likes, that underlying negative bias might explain why the anti-pineapple reactions can feel so intense and immediate, even based just on the idea of it.
It likely plays a significant role. A quick, strong aversion is easier to form than a deep, nuanced appreciation.
Which brings us neatly to the internet factor, the memification of pineapple pizza.
Oh, for sure. A huge part of the ongoing debate, especially online, feels like an internet joke or a meme. People take these really strong stances, maybe not because they feel that passionately deep down.
But more to signal they're in on the joke, part of the online in-group, or just for the fun of a low-stakes argument.
Exactly. It's become this sort of online shibboleth, a quick, easy way to spark engagement and identify with a certain online crowd. It's performative outrage sometimes.
And connecting back that cultural argument against it, the tradition thing, it kind of wobbles when you look closer, doesn't it?
It really does. Pizza itself has changed so much. Tomatoes, mozzarella, these weren't always standard, or they were seen as peasant food originally. Defining traditional is often just drawing an arbitrary line in the sand based on what you happen to know or prefer. Food cultures always evolve.
So after digging through all this, the history, the science, the psychology, the memes, where does it leave us?
Well, it seems pretty clear that ultimately, whether someone likes pineapple on pizza boils down mostly to individual preference, taste, texture, what you grew up with, what you find pleasing.
And maybe we should just let people eat what they enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Without all the judgment.
That's certainly a recurring theme in the sources. Eat and let eat. But understanding the why behind the strong feelings is fascinating.
Absolutely. It started as just a topping, but it unfolds into this whole complex mix of history, taste science, deep-seated psychology, like disgust, and, yeah, modern internet culture. It's a really potent reminder that even our simple food preferences are shaped by so much more than just taste buds.
It really is. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to chew on.
Go on.
If our dislikes, our aversions can be so heavily influenced by learned ideas, cultural norms, and this powerful emotion of disgust, rather than actual danger or inherent badness, well, what other things in life do you react to with that kind of disgust feeling?
You mean things that might be more about a learned mental category than like a real sensory issue?
Exactly. And what does that realization mean the next time you find yourself in one of these polarizing debates? Whether it's about food or art or music or politics, what really stood out to you from this whole pineapple pizza saga?